And we are live. It's Dr. J here in the house. Had a little technical difficulties there. Mike should be back working again. If you guys can hear me, just give me a little notation in the chat. Hope all is well. Hope everyone had a great Christmas. I think Hanukkah's still happening. Holiday seasons are always great. So how y'all doing today? Give me some updates on what's happening. What do you guys want to chat about in the functional medicine, nutritional sphere, if you will? I'm seeing patients all day today. I'm back in the swing of it. I love it. Like getting into the grind, connected with people, getting them to the next level. Very, very rewarding. A couple of questions already kind of chimed in. I heard a chiropractor say that women need 2 hours of sleep more than men for best health and healing. It depends on age. It's going to depend on stress. It's also going to depend on time of the month, how hormonally balanced a woman is. If there's lots of estrogen dominance and a lot of PMS symptoms, there may need to be some extra stress just because of the hormonal stress that's going on. But I think it just depends. If you have a healthy woman and a healthy man and they're doing really good and they're similar age as well, then that's going to be more. It's going to be pretty similar. I think everything really is dependent upon stress, exercise, movement, and then of course, if a woman's going into menopause, that can be a stressor as well. So there may have to be more sleep there. Is there a study on that? Not really sure. Delcy wrote in, took an organic acid test, and my ascorbic vitamin C result was 0.31 when the range is 10 to 200. What dose of ascorbic acid do you recommend to get in the normal range? Yeah, what you could do is just do a vitamin C calibration. So just keep on ratcheting up your vitamin C until you have loose stools. And then from there, you just back off and do 1/10 of that dose. So a lot of people, they'll get up to like 10, 20, 30,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And then if you're at like 30,000 or 20,000, then you would just do 1/10 of that, which would be like 2,000 or 3,000 milligrams or 2 to 3 grams, right? So that's a really good, easy first step that you can do there. Awesome. Took an organic acid test, my ascorbic vitamin C. We answered that question already. Great. I just had my appendix removed and developed an abscess. Have been on ciproflagyl, augmentin. There are thoughts moving forward to rebuild from this. Well, it depends what caused the abscess. Is it like something surgically that happened, like where the incision was? That's where the abscess is. There could be some kind of MRSA or some kind of resistant bacterial issue. You could always do some topical silver on that area, topical silver gel. That would all, I think, be really, really helpful and help with any biofilms or resistant bacteria. I think that'd be a good next step for sure. Excellent. See, I recently took amoxicillin after dental surgery. Once I finished the bottle, I got a skin rash all over my body. Now what? So more than likely what's going on is the gut flora has been wiped down, and you're probably having some histamine reactions because of the inflammation and because of the imbalance in the gut bacteria. So make sure your diet's solid and start with some really good probiotics. Bifidobacter, lactobacillus species, of course. Maybe even some Saccharomyces to help with any yeast overgrowth that could be happening. Maybe even cutting down some of the histamine as well, just to see how things go on that front. How to cure malabsorption and leaky gut. So 6 R's. I talked about it, done a lot of podcasts and videos on this topic. 6 R's: remove the bad foods, replace the enzymes, acids, repair the gut lining and the hormones, remove the infections, repopulate, reinoculate gut bacteria, retest. And again, the individual steps within that are going to be dialed in based on labs and stress and everything else. So can't get individual in this kind of setting. What causes ridges in the fingernails? So some issue with breaking down protein, fats, and usually zinc are the big ones. So there's some level of digestive issues, either hydrochloric acid-wise, enzymatically, and there could be an infection and, of course, just stress behind a lot of that. Excellent. Also, any NSAID alternatives? Yeah, best NSAID alternative would be Boswellia is great, or frankincense. Curcumin in a liposomal form is great. You can always do white willow bark. Higher dose fish oil. You can also do CBD as well. Those are good alternatives. Have been dizzy since late July and been having severe reactions to a certain type of food. What's your recommendation? Depends on why you're dizzy. If the food issue fixes the dizziness, great. A lot of times dizziness is connected to adrenal issues. Also, I've seen it with Evan. Mold exposure can cause dizziness too. So again, every time someone has a question, sometimes it requires me to ask 10 more questions. So is there any mold exposure? Water damage in the home, anything like that, any other foreign stressors, physically, chemically, emotionally? If not, food, adrenals, and infections for sure. My organic acid test showed high oxalic acid, which was around 91. A range from 8.9 to 67. I've been on green smoothies and kale. Should I be worried? It just depends. Oxalates are going to be very high in things like your green vegetables. It just depends upon if you're having other symptoms, if there's any fungal issues as well, because oxalates can go high with fungus as well. If there's no joint pain or vulvodynia or just like random pain issues where the oxalate crystals can get in the muscle belly and create a lot of inflammation, if not, you're probably okay. But you want to look at I want to look at the whole picture. Best advice for absorbing fat: hydrochloric acid, enzymes like lipase, and bile salts. But you'd want to make sure your gut's fixed. If there's any infections going on, that could be a bottleneck as well. But at least get the digestive support going and make sure the food is really, really good. Grass-fed, high-quality proteins and fat sources are ideal. What do you suggest for joint pain? What causes popping joints in a 37-year-old? Does hypermobile joints cause pain? I mean, it just depends. If you have good flexibility or range of motion, but your muscles aren't working well, and your joints are having to absorb a lot of force because your muscles aren't working, well, it would just depend upon what's happening. I mean, I used to do a lot of kinesiological testing and see what muscles are working and what aren't. But popping joints, it really just depends. Popping is natural. That's kind of, the joints should be pressurized. It just depends upon, is it because of ligaments and tendons are stiff and aren't moving properly? I need to get a lot more answers from that. Is Biocidin good for killing biofilms? How about ozone and for infections? I do like Biocidin. Biocidin's a really, really good formula. It's really good at killing biofilms. So is silver. And so is ginger. Those are really, really good options. Gabe wrote in, my 2-year-old daughter has had a fever for a few days, urine odor, very green mucus. Any recommendations? I mean, I like the Biocidin with kids because it does have things like noni in there, which is really, really good, very antiviral. With kiddos, there are some silver solutions that you could do. You could take orally, maybe some medicinal mushrooms. It just depends. When they're 2, it's always a little bit harder. I always keep to like the low-hanging fruit. So like vitamin C, some medicinal like things like elderberry is great. Gaia makes a really good formula with golden seal echinacea that's really good. A little bit of silver. And of course, make sure the diet's solid, no extra refined sugar. That's a really good first step. Again, I'm not worried about fever unless you're going above 105. If it's 101, 102, 103, 104, it's not that big of a deal because your body's heating up to kill the mesophilic bacteria, right? Mesophilic bacteria is bacteria that can exist within a medium temperature range, medium. Once you go above that 100, 101, 102, you start killing that bacteria off. So the only time you have to worry about fever typically is like if there's a head trauma, like a fall or like a car accident, because now your hypothalamus there could be some kind of a hematoma or subdural hemorrhage happening where the brain is damaged and can't regulate temperature. That's different. So as long as there's no head trauma, you're more than likely going to be okay. And if you have to go the Tylenol route, well, just make sure you give extra N-acetylcysteine because Tylenol will deplete your body of glutathione. So you just have to make sure if you're going to go Tylenol, just give some N-acetylcysteine and or glutathione, and will at least help combat the damage of the Tylenol. Ashley wrote in, my dentist wants to put me on antibiotics for tooth pain after having a crown. She said there is no clear infection, so I want to avoid it. Any alternatives? Yeah, there's no infections and it's just preventative. I typically recommend doing topical things. So there's a product called Dentalcidin. Biocidin makes one called Dentalcidin, and you can do that and put it in your mouth and flush that around. You can always gargle silver as well. You can always do the Thieves mouthwash a couple times a day. I much rather do topical, and then just keep an eye on it. I only want to do, as long as you're doing things like that, you should be in a good place. Worst case, also just cook your foods in a crock pot or Instapot, make it really easy on your jaw so you're not having to chew. You don't have to worry about getting things caught in there. Makes it a lot easier. So I just keep an eye on that and make sure you're solid. That should be your best bet, and just kind of watch. If you're doing good things like that, again, I can't give you advice on that, but that's how I would handle it. And then just make sure you let your dentist know what you plan on doing so they can watch and monitor. What's the best time to take tyrosine for low dopamine? I take it in the morning, empty stomach, and tends to give me headaches. I like it in morning and afternoon. And you may just have to start with a lower dose, start at 500 milligrams and work your way up. Is Fortnite bad for our health? That's a video game, I think, right? I mean, I'm not a fan of video games. I used to when I was younger, but then I would just see how much time I wasted, so I'd rather do other things. But if you're doing it like here and there and it's kind of a release at the end of the day, I think it's fine. Just, maybe some blue blocking glasses, maybe some GABA and some melatonin afterwards to kind of get your parasympathetics going. As long as your sleep's good, that's a good sign. Can you combine milk thistle with NAC as a cocktail? Yes, you can. You could totally take them together. I have no problem with that. All right, good. Awesome, guys. Any other questions, let me know. I got to jump on. I'm doing a summit interview right now. It's the fasting summit, so I'm going to jump on that call. I may come back this afternoon. I have a couple gaps. I have one gap in my schedule, so I may come back this afternoon with another live chat. So I'm really excited to engage with y'all. Hope you guys had a phenomenal Christmas, Hanukkah, holiday season, and I will be back. You guys have a phenomenal weekend. Take care, y'all. Bye. Take care, Facebook.